Imagine yourself alone, on a deserted road where the darkness seems alive, whispering invisible secrets to the wind. The ground is rough and cold beneath your body, and you feel the fine dust mingling with the blood slowly trickling from your open wounds. The air is heavy, smelling of fear, iron, and loneliness. Your eyes blink slowly, blurred by pain and exhaustion. Your head throbs. Your heart beats erratically as if struggling to continue. Each breath is an effort. The bitter taste of blood still lingers in your mouth, a cruel reminder of the attack you endured. And then, a sound. Footsteps. Far away, but coming closer. Your hope sparks for a brief moment. Maybe, just maybe, someone will come to your aid. You try to raise your hand, open your mouth to ask for help, but only a weak groan escapes your cracked lips. Your body doesn't respond as it did before. The footsteps continue. Closer, closer, but they stop. The silence returns, sharp as a blade. Did the person see you? What are they waiting for? You want to believe that the traveler, whoever they are, won't leave you there. But then, the footsteps pick up again, this time moving away, leaving. Despair rises inside you like a suffocated scream. Will no one stop? Will you be forgotten on this road, left to die like a ghost that never had the chance to call for help? Who would pass by you on this dark road? And more importantly, if they did, would they reach out to help? Or just keep walking, pretending not to see your agony? Today, we will dive into one of the most unsettling stories from antiquity. A story of betrayal, fear, silence, and an unexpected act of mercy. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. And of course, if this story moves you by the end, leave a like and comment below. Now, turn off the lights, turn up the volume, and get ready to discover the dark side of the parable of the Good Samaritan. The road of death, the road between Jerusalem and Jericho, was more than just a path. For many, it was a tunnel of nightmares, a place where danger lurked at every turn. The ground was made of compacted earth and loose stones, and the high cliffs cast threatening shadows over unwary travelers. The wind howled between the ravines, bringing with it indistinct murmurs. Was it just the sound of nature, or the voices of those who had perished there? It was said that the thieves knew every shortcut, every hiding place. They weren't just desperate men, but predators lying in wait, hoping for their next prey. Merchants traveled in groups, armed, but even so, many vanished, leaving behind only traces of their last struggle. And it was on this road that he fell. The man, now lying on the dry ground, tried to remember how he had gotten there. Fragments of the attack came like flashes, the dull thud of a blow to his head, the metallic taste of blood filling his mouth, brutal hands tearing away his bag, his tunic ripped as if it were old paper. Each blow pushed him further from reality, until everything turned to darkness. Now he was alone, wounded, weak. Pain pulsed in his chest, and his limbs trembled with exhaustion. The dust clung to his sweaty face, and the night was approaching with an unrelenting cold. The sky darkened, painting the landscape in somber hues, and he felt the weight of fatigue taking over his body. His eyes fluttered slowly, heavy as stones. Sleep seemed inviting, like a warm embrace amid the suffering. But something within him whispered, if he closed his eyes now, perhaps he would never open them again. His heart beat faintly. The silence of the road was absolute. No one was coming. Or were they? The first hope. The priest's footsteps. The sound echoed faintly, but to him it was like thunder breaking the cruel silence of the road. In the midst of his semi-conscious state between pain and the rising cold, he managed to distinguish that familiar sound, sandals scraping the dust of the path. With agonizing effort, he forced his eyes open. The golden light of the setting sun outlined a solemn figure, a silhouette exuding authority and respect. A priest, a man of God. His heart, weak and battered until then, found a spark of hope. He wanted to speak, but his dry throat allowed nothing more than a raspy whisper. He tried to raise his hand, his fingers trembling like branches in the wind, a silent plea for mercy. The priest stopped. The wounded man felt his gaze on him, assessing, pondering. The silence between them stretched into a moment that seemed like eternity. The priest could save him. All it took was a gesture, a word. But instead, he looked away and continued walking. His step didn't even hesitate. The wounded man blinked, confused. Did he not see? Did he not understand? But the truth struck him like a cold blade. He saw. He understood. And he chose to walk on. Despair gripped his chest. How could someone who served God ignore a dying man? But the answer lay in the customs of the time. A Jewish priest could not touch a bloodied man without becoming impure, and impurity would prevent him from fulfilling his sacred duties at the temple. The wounded man felt the last spark of hope crumble like dust in the wind. The sound of the priest's footsteps disappeared into the distance, taking with it any chance of salvation. Now, only silence remained, and the growing shadow of the night. The second chance. The Levite, later, new footsteps echoed on the road. The sound was not distant, nor in a hurry. They approached cautiously, stepping lightly on the dust-covered ground. The wounded man, now unable even to raise his hand, could barely react. His mind fluctuated between consciousness and stupor, but still he waited. A new silhouette appeared against the reddening sky. A Levite. He wasn't a priest, but still a man of tradition, someone who knew the law and the sacred teachings, someone who, perhaps, had compassion. The Levite came closer than the priest. His eyes scanned the mutilated body on the ground. Hesitation took hold of him. Perhaps he felt a lump in his throat. Perhaps he felt the pain of that stranger for a brief moment. But then his eyes widened. Pity was replaced by fear. What if the thieves were still hiding, waiting for another victim? What if stopping to help made him the next one to fall on that cruel road? The wounded man barely had time to decipher his expression before he stepped back. The Levite took a deep breath, turned away, and quickened his pace. His feet kicked up dust as he disappeared into the horizon. Once again hope dissolved like a grain of sand carried by the wind. Silence reclaimed the road, and the darkness began to close in around the fallen man. The third man. The Samaritan night had fully fallen. The biting cold of darkness seeped into the bones of the wounded man, making each second harder to endure. His breath was shallow, his body growing heavier. Sleep threatened to overtake him completely, but a final instinct told him that if he gave in, he might never wake up. Then, a different sound, not hurried or hesitant steps like before. A rhythmic, firm trot. An animal was approaching. Was it a merchant too hasty to care? Or worse, another thief, coming back to ensure he wouldn't survive? The man's heart didn't have the strength to race, but his mind wavered between fear and resignation. The sound of reins being pulled cut through the silence. The rider stopped. Something changed. There was no disdain. There was no hesitation. The traveler dismounted. And then the impossible happened. Hands touched his broken body, but gently, with care. The man felt a cloth pressed against his wounds. A strong aroma, wine and oil, filled the air, invading his senses. The liquid burned in his wounds, but the pain was different. It wasn't violence. It was healing. Before he could understand what was happening, he felt his body being lifted, firmly supported and placed on the animal. The gesture was clear. He would not be left to die. His half-closed eyes tried to see the face of his Savior. But if he had the strength to ask, he might have refused the answer, because the one helping him was a Samaritan. Samaritans and Jews were not just strangers. They were enemies. The hatred between them had been rooted for generations, fueled by conflict and contempt. But here, in that moment, none of that mattered. There was no rivalry. There was no religion. There were no boundaries. There was only one man helping another. An unexpected act of compassion that would change everything. Conclusion. The impact of the story. This story is not just a parable. It's a mirror, an uncomfortable reflection of the reality we choose to ignore. Jesus told it as a lesson on compassion and humanity, but its meaning goes beyond that. Because, deep down, this dark road, this scene of injustice and silence, still exists, and we still walk it. How many times have we walked past pain and pretended not to see? How many times have we justified our indifference with convenient excuses? Fear, prejudice, selfishness. All of these prevent us from acting, just as they prevented the priest, just as they made the Levite hesitate. But the real hero of the story wasn't who it should have been. It was the one no one expected. The Good Samaritan didn't just help. He broke rules. He challenged the limits imposed by a divided society. He crossed the barrier of fear, comfort, and hatred. When everyone else chose to walk away, he walked toward. Now, the question that echoes in the darkness of that ancient road is the same one that echoes in today's world. Who will you choose to be? The priest who looked away? The Levite who hesitated and fled? Or the Samaritan who faced the unexpected and reached out? The answer isn't just in the story. It's in every choice we make. It's in what we decide to do when no one else wants to act. If this story moved you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.